Welcome back to the second Statuo podcast. I'm Rick, founder of Statuo, and this is Adam, our head of paid marketing. Today we're going to be going through PPC, specifically Google Ads, and how you could potentially use this to give your business a bit of a boost to start before you have any form of marketing budget or money to burn, really. So we're going to be going through the setup, some tips, tricks, and also when you actually need this. So first of all, we're going to start off with when should somebody look at paid marketing? When would you say the right opportunity is for, when they should be kind of going down this path?
For me, it completely depends on the industry, whether it's the e-com lead gen, what they've tested and tried out before. If it's completely blank canvas and they've just built a new business and they're looking to get some leads through or some traffic through, then it might be your only choice. It's going to take a while for organic traffic to come through, so it might be your first port of call. If it's just an extension to that and you're actually already getting organic traffic but you're looking to generate some more sales, that's also a good option for you. But what I would say to anybody who's starting off and they've got no experience of paid, any kind of PPC related experience whatsoever, is there's loads of tools out there to help you out. Obviously Google themselves have a skillshop that you can go on. You can go through lots of different types of qualifications through Google. It'll explain how the system works, how the auction works, when you should bid on things, when you shouldn't bid on things.
So you don't need to be an agency to access this training material?
No, not at all. You can go to Google, set up a Gmail account, and you can just start running through the courses. And they have like certifications to say you've done search, you've done display, you've done shopping, depending obviously on what you want to learn.
I suppose it'd be a really good starting point for any business to be able to understand how Google and paid marketing and that side of stuff works, even before you even entertain using an agency or scaling it any further. Yeah,
definitely. If you're a business owner and you're going to put money into the hands of an agent or an agency, but you've got no experience whatsoever of Google Ads, or even Facebook and Bing, who also have like a similar setup, it will save you so much time, effort and aggro going through those and doing them yourself, or even getting like an intern or someone who works for you to do it. So at least when you're speaking to an agent, an agency should I say, you can at least query certain things in the right way and you understand what they're actually saying back to you.
I suppose it could also save you from getting the wool pulled over your eyes and ripped off.
Yeah, well there's a tendency within like marketing in general, isn't there, that we kind of hoodwink people or we smokescreen people, and it does sound like that on occasion because Google is a bit of a beast, and there's agencies and there's individuals who work in it. We understand that not everything's clear, there's a lot of vague things, so it makes us sound vague and it doesn't always come across great. But I think by going through that course you'll understand the difficulties, especially from an agency side, and you'll also be able to ask the right questions so you know you're not wasting budget.
Yeah, no, that's great. How do the social, let's say, the Bing and the Facebook learning centres, do they differ much, or is it kind of all based around the same sort of stuff, the learning material?
Similar setup. Obviously, each is. I
suppose a lot of it's understanding to start with, trying to navigate your way around the accounts, which can be quite daunting.
Yeah, and you might not necessarily need to go and learn them, dependent on what you're actually trying to achieve. If, for example, if you've got a product that's not widely searched for because it's more of like an impulse buy or a product that people probably aren't aware of, then social, Facebook, TikTok are probably the right channel for you. If you've got a product that's kind of out there already and there's a lot of companies already doing it, then you might need to use Google and go down and search and compete with people. But each Google, Facebook, Bing, they have their own certification. Each one is obviously aligned with whatever you're trying to learn. So it's not really broad. It's kind of quite refined for each channel. You just need to see and work out what's the actual right channel for you first.
So we'll start running through some of the the setup, like kind of step by steps, and but we'll use, for example, let's say an accountancy in Bolton, quite fresh, 2 or 3 staff, slowly growing, doesn't quite want to put too much money into an agency sort at the moment, but they want to do it themselves to start to understand it and learn a bit more. What sort of a process would you kind of give on that? Let's say you as a consultant or giving advice.
Well, we make the assumption that these people have got like a basic understanding. They've already been, say, through some courses, or they understand a little bit the way that Google works. Then you can have a bit more of an open conversation and you can use vernacular that they understand. But to begin with, the first thing that I always sit down and try to explain to the clients or try to grab from those clients is what's your ultimate goal? What's your core KPI as a business? What you're happy to pay for a lead? If it comes to it's 30 quid, do you make money? If it's 50 quid, do you make money? And how does that work? Is it different types of services that you offer? And is there a price point for each one of those? And try to drill down into what are you essentially prepared to pay for that lead, that sale.
Yeah, they need to understand their KPIs and what they're expecting as an ROI before they even start this.
Because we can generate leads. Like, the difficulty isn't generating leads, it's generating leads that are of good quality and they're also valuable to them. Like, we could generate leads down in London for someone that's in Manchester, but if they don't cover it, it doesn't help.
So if I was an accountancy in Bolton, I need to obviously understand it's going to be a lot easier for me to convert a lead for a potential client in the Bolton area than it is targeting people in Manchester or London. So I need to have my location threshold set on a certain mile radius for that area.
So we'd go through it with them, and it's probably if they couldn't maybe afford our services, I would still give it as like free value advice to people to say, look, once you've got your account set out, you know what your core KPIs and your goals are and what you want to achieve, is then making sure that all the settings within the account are set up to do that for you. So all your search keywords are clear, concise, your advertisement and your ads are clear and concise, and the pages that you send those people to are also clear and concise.
What sort of process would you recommend at the very start for keyword research? Let's say I'm brand new to this. Power cut. Right,
I thought I fainted for a second.
But what sort of a process would you recommend for the keyword research? Because I know it can be extremely daunting with the match types in Google, with your exact match, your phrase matches. They're trying to push everything to broad match at the moment. Mm-hmm. Exact match isn't even exact match anymore. It's a load of tosh. Mm-hmm. So how would you, again, recommend somebody going through that process of finding their keywords and how to structure?
There's lots of tools that you can use. Obviously, an internal one that we use is Ahrefs, but you can also go into Google themselves, and they have like a keyword planner, so you can type in what you want to search for, what you think somebody might be searching for, and it'll give you like traffic volumes, cost per click, average click-through rates of those ads, and then you can actually structure a campaign and your ad groups within Google Ads itself, so then you can get an overall, if I spent £500 targeting all these keywords, what could it potentially generate, and Google will give you that information. So that's one way of doing it. I think I do use it sometimes, not all the time. I think it's more out of experience. I don't necessarily go into Google Ads and do it that way. I structure it a bit different. But trying to have some kind of benchmark as well. So if you go to Google, you can literally type in like industry standard CTR, industry standard conversion rate. Yeah,
so you can understand what metrics you should be aiming for.
What metrics you should be aiming for, but also if you don't have those metrics, it gives you like a baseline to go, well, if I spend this much on a click and send someone through to my site, and that's like the industry standard conversion rate, what potentially could I generate a lead for, and would that still work for me now? And you can work out what you need to improve on them, whether it's the website, whether it's you actually need to pay less for a click.
Touching on that, we're under the assumption if you're starting a paid marketing campaign, you do have a decent website that converts, because you can throw as much money at it as you like, but if your website's a load of shite, then it's just pointless. And we've had that at the agency multiple times where people come to us with paid marketing or SEO, and we end up doing them a new website first of all, because there's no point in even wasting money sending them to the site.
Yeah, I think we're lucky in a sense because we're quite free and open with clients. Whereas some agencies do have a tendency just to do what they're being told by
especially if they're just a paid marketing agency, they might not have the eye for the web design or the improvements that CRO could make to them.
Yeah, well, we're quite multi-skilled here, so if somebody comes through and they want paid marketing, or they're like, it's never worked, we've been doing this for years, we can't find the right kind of formula to make it work. A lot of times they'll come through and we'll see the website, and the first thing will be like, well, I'm not surprised, like, they've not changed anything 3, 4, 5, 6 years. They still got stuff on the website that's redundant, or that states timeframes from 2018, and they're wondering why people aren't signing up or inquiring with them. So new website. That's a big part of it. Just basic stuff like speed page, page speed, speed page. Yeah, they'll be wondering why they're not getting leads through, but it takes 20 seconds for the page to load, and you're like, well, would you wait 20 seconds? Would you not bounce and go somewhere else? Like, people are super impatient.
Well, we had that with a client recently, and it was a fitness client, and the page was taking over 15 seconds to load, and they wanted to improve the CRO of the site, and we was like, first of all, you need to start off with improving the speed, because no one's going to hang around for 15 seconds waiting for your site to load, especially if they're on mobile, they're on 4G, and the internet speeds are not great, then they're just going to bugger off. I know I do it. If a site doesn't load for 3-4 seconds for me, I assume it's down, and I'll bugger off somewhere else.
Yeah. I think maybe like back 5-10 years ago, it was a bit more acceptable because everyone was doing the same thing and everything took ages to load. But because we've been blessed with a lot of larger companies who've invested heavily in websites and they're smooth, they're easy to use, the loads. Yeah, they have to compete with these bigger companies, and they don't have to do that from like an offering perspective, but they have to at least have a website that's set up to allow that user to use it really quickly.
Definitely. All right, cool. So obviously we've been through the kind of the setting up, some of the potential tutorials and learning material you can pick up on. What is there any specific way you would recommend if you're doing this yourself to structure your accounts? Because obviously you've got your campaigns, your ad groups. We'll leave a link below in the description on some of the training material for Google, so you can see this yourself and have a little look. But is there any special way you structure your accounts for simplicity or to make it easy to manage?
Yeah, I do. It's kind of changed a little bit just due to the fact that Google are trying to automate more things. So it's becoming more and more difficult to do or structure it the way that we do.
Or even more, is there any specific campaign types you would recommend for a new business to launch using?
Again, for me, it depends on what the actual product is or what the service is. If you've got the budget to compete with the big boys in search and there's a lot of traffic for it, go for it. If your product doesn't have a huge amount, for example, like Monthly Tea Club, when they first started off, there's not millions of people looking for a monthly subscription T-shirt. It just doesn't exist. So we've had to obviously go through Facebook and through YouTube and display and try to catch people that are interested in a topic and then offer them the service.
Yeah, it's a bit more of an impulse buy, isn't it?
Yeah, which you have to do for some clients. But if it's like you say, your accountancy, there's going to be traffic for people looking for that.
Yeah,
so,
and because it's a very high, such intent keyword, then it's going to drive conversion as well.
Yeah, so structure-wise, say, for example, it was an accountancy firm and you'd identified that you're going to go down the search route. Campaign, obviously, make sure that your locations are set for the right area. Make sure that you're operating in the right time of day. Ad schedule, do you really want to show an accountancy ad to someone at 3 o'clock in the morning? Maybe you do, maybe you don't, just obviously depends what you're offering. Making sure that the actual structure of the ad groups, we tend to do single keyword ad groups, and the way that works is obviously somebody types in accountancy Bolton. If they type that in, we know that the ad itself will match up to the keyword because it will say accountancy in Bolton. And then we structure it as a single keyword through all the ad groups individually, so we know exactly when that ad group shows.
The SCAG
approach.
Yeah,
which we can link as well and put that in so people can take a look. It's more work for the individual, but the performance is better because you know what that one keyword is generating, and you know when you can switch it on, when you switch it off, which ones are winning, which ones are losing. You could be a bit more refined with what you're targeting as well. It makes it easier for you to, as an overview, to see everything in one place, but the initial setup takes longer.
Oh, cool. And just to add to that, one thing which I know I've done in the past, because how hard Google makes it to track keywords coming through, they basically don't tell you much, is adding in UTM tags in the campaign. You can do it at an account level, actually, and just tag in, there's a little syntax for keyword, and it'll just pull through the keyword which you're actually tagged. And it won't match up to the actual search term, but it will match up to the keyword you've entered. Gets a little bit confusing, but again, that's been invaluable to some of the businesses we've worked with in the past in terms of us actually tracking what is converting and what's not. Okay, cool. So what we'll go into, we've been through some of the setup, some of the structure in it. We might go deeper into this in a few days or a week or so, and show some examples. We'll do a screencast on the laptop and run into some of the setup and dive deeper into it. If you'd like to see that sort of stuff, let us know. But what we'll do is we'll just go into some golden nuggets for today.
I'm just waiting for you to do it.
For me to do it. Some golden nuggets, some tips, tricks, and stuff that can really help you hopefully save some money and time on setting up this on this journey to paid marketing. So I like this bit.
Golden nuggets.
Golden
Right,
nuggets.
perfect. Yeah, so
Do you want me to go first?
yeah, go first. Let's hear some of you. Again, just some golden nuggets, some tips on which is things that have really helped you, things you hopefully you wish you knew at the start of your paid marketing journey.
Well, let's start off with searching for your own ads. If you've done it before, if you
I
have,
think we discussed this with Faye on the last podcast. Link below.
yeah, it's a conversation that comes up endlessly, and I have to repeat myself endlessly. And I get why people have a tendency to do it, because they want to see their own ads, they want to make sure, and they're like, oh, I've not had no leads today. Like I'll Google my own ads and find out what's going on. But Google itself is essentially an auction, and the auction and what you pay is based off how well your ads are doing. So if you only have 30, 40, 50 searches a day and you're about 10% of those searches, you're not going to be clicking on your own ad, or at least I hope you aren't, because you'll be charging yourself to click on your own ad. But what it'll do is it'll drive down the performance of the ad, and therefore you'll end up paying more than you would have done if you hadn't been there. So inside of Google itself, there's a little ad diagnostics you can go to. You can search the keyword, the area, and it'll tell you within Google whether it's triggering now or whether it's not, and it'll give you like a little snippet to say maybe why it's not currently. Do it that way, save yourself some money, save yourself some time. You're not always going to see your own ads, even if they were primed to show to you anyway, especially if you've looked a lot before, because they'll just stop producing the ad for you when you've not been clicking on it, because it assumes it's not relevant. So that's one.
Yeah, I know. I've had trouble with some clients in the past. They will constantly Google their own keywords. So we're not showing up there. We're not here. Because it all depends on the budget. They're affecting click-through rate then, because they're searching the ad and they're not clicking it.
I mean,
it's probably just to add on to that is block their IP address.
Yeah.
From the account, so they can't actually see any of the ads, and just say we block your IP address to stop this and to save the metrics really.
Well, yeah, do that. Obviously, block your own IP from analytics as well to make sure that you're not influencing traffic coming through and what you can see. I think people forget. I mean, we've had clients in the past where they've been in a different country trying to find their own ads and wondering why they're not showing. I'm like, do you want us to target South Africa when we don't offer a service there? So that's one. One
I've got as well. We've been in trouble for this in the past. DKI ads, which are dynamic keyword insertion ads. So what they will do is they're really good, and they drive really high click-through rate, especially for let's say you're targeting black shoes, and you put in this certain syntax again, which is a little keyword syntax into your advert, and it will pull through the user's actual search terms. So let's say I'm going after black shoes, but somebody's searched black stripy shoes. It will pull through that exact search term into your keywords, making your ad look a lot more relevant. But be careful with that, because if you're using that on, for example, brand jacking or certain brand campaigns where you're going after competitors' brand names, it will pull through the brand name, and you could be breaching on the trademark there, which can get you into a bit of trouble.
A little bit, yeah. Or just in general from broad, like especially with the way that Google are changing and the match types of changes, and it's becoming more and more broad. If you're using something like DKI, it's going to pull in a lot of irrelevant traffic as well. So you have to be quite refined when you're using something like that. Yeah,
that's one thing. It is a slog getting a campaign to work properly. It's a lot of hard work. You've got to be checking your search terms every couple of days, your search term reports, seeing what people are searching, negative keywords for the ones that are not relevant or the ones that are not converting, doing this again on a weekly and a monthly basis. For me, one tip I would have is to give yourself a list, a daily task, weekly task, monthly task, even go quarterly as well. And in that daily task, we'll be checking your search term reports, just making sure your metrics are right, checking your bids, your weekly, I would be reviewing ads. I would be cycling my ads. I'd be always have 3 ads in each ad group. I would be pausing the number 2 of the most unsuccessful ads and creating a third then, or pausing the worst performer and creating a third one based on the 2 successful ones, and just tweaking. You've just got to be constantly tweaking and split testing everything. Again, monthly, I will be reviewing everything again. I'd be going through the ads, going through the keywords, the campaigns. It's constant, isn't it?
It's a constant churn, yeah, and you
can't just set it up, let it go, right, there we go, done.
No, not really. That's why it's ideal that you do set some time aside each week, each day, even if it's 5-10 minutes at night, just to run through things, especially from like a negative perspective.
Well, that's it. You can waste so much money just bringing through crap keywords, because even Google's exact match keyword now will bring through random phrase match stuff. Yeah,
and it's not always consistent either. You might have a term you've never appeared for that'll just spike over a day and spend a lot of money. So you have to keep eye on it. You can set up obviously like triggers and rules as well that'll email you when something's gone through the roof or when something's spent a lot of money really quickly. But you can also obviously cap your budgets so that doesn't happen. I think another one is like a golden nugget. I suppose I'm just used to it now, so I assume that everyone knows, is make sure that you're tracking all the goals that you want to achieve on analytics and pull them through to Google or set it up on Google, whichever way is easier for you. And stage it as well. So, for example, if you've got a page that's got like a multi-step form in it, track each one of the goals and find out where you're actually losing people. Like, are you losing them on step 1, step 2, step 5? Then at least you've got kind of some food for thought to know where you need to improve on along that process.
Yeah, as simple as not making the phone number required or a step like that. I know we've tried some of that on some client accounts, and again, it compounds. All the little tweaks and the percentage increases makes a massive difference.
And sometimes it can be the opposite. Sometimes it can be that you've actually not asked enough information or enough questions, so they're actually like, well, do you even know enough about me to help me when I get through? So they think you're actually not that interested. So that's another one.
Yeah, perfect. I'm trying to think of anything more tips or tricks.
There's thousands, but trying to remember.
It's just it becomes part of your daily routine and your general knowledge. You forget what you do know until it comes to actually implementing this stuff.
I'd say like writing stuff off as well. I think a lot of people set a campaign up, they'll structure it, they'll run it, and then they'll go, oh well, that's crap, that's not worked. I'm never coming back to that again. Whereas it might have been time of day, it might have been the season that you were in, it might have been what you were running at the time.
Yeah, that's a big one. Seasonality, and obviously if you're trying to sell boilers and it's
summer
40 degrees outside, then you're naturally going to drop in sales. But for me, it is testing everything, but also filling out your accounts. So adding all your extensions in there, all your call outs, all your site links, as much as you can. Any information Google's asking for you, put it in there. Run, if they're saying you can have a maximum of 3 ads, run 3 ads. There's a reason to do that, because their algorithms are testing to see what performs better.
I think giving customers lots of options is one as well. I think you were discussing with Faye last time, if you're an e-commerce client, give obviously everyone the payment option that they want to use. Not everyone wants to use PayPal and not everyone wants to use card. Like give 4 or 5 options. If it's lead gen, give that customer multiple options to get in contact with you. So if it's a telephone number, that's all you've got. Give them a form, give them live chat, give them as much as you can do, and in a way that you can manage it. Obviously, you don't want to put live chat on if you're not going to respond for 5 hours.
Well, that's it. There's a lot more to it than just the paid marketing. You can get your campaign running really well, but then obviously you've got the website side of stuff. That's got to be bang on, and that's a whole new ball game. Getting that right, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and from people's websites, especially if you're running paid, sometimes it's easier to have a landing page that's set up specifically for lead gen as opposed to sending them through to a website. I had a conversation with someone the other day where they just had a brand new website built, and the first conversation I had to have was, it's really difficult to find everything you need to know about your service through your website. And they were like, well, it's all there. And people are lazy.
We've used that. What's that software we've used before to create dedicated landing pages? Unbounce, that's it. Really good piece of software which you can just use. You set up, and again, you can link it to your domain. You can have it on a subdomain, a custom domain, and they've got loads of templates which have been tried and tested, and you can just set up a lead gen landing page very, very easily.
Yeah, and just answer all the questions that if you were looking for a service yourself, what would you want to know? and what would make you inquire with that person. So you want to know price, you want to know service, you want to know how they operate, what the process is, testimonials, reviews, who they've worked with before, gallery images of before and afters, like anything you can do that answers every one of those questions on one page, they'll inquire. If you make people have to try and find it, people are lazy. They'll leave, they'll go somewhere else.
Agreed, 100%. Right, I think we'll leave it there. If you've got any questions on what we've been discussing, leave your comments below. Like I said, we will try and go more into depth on the paid marketing side of stuff. Hopefully we'll get some tutorials going, pick Adam's brains and run through that. But yeah, cheers, thanks for now, and see you in the next one. Clap us out.